This is Oklahoma, and about 80 years ago, it was one of the starting points around here in the neighboring states for the biggest internal migration the United States has ever seen. Up to 500,000 people, working people, left their farms, left their droughted lands, and went west, 1,000 miles to the Californian border, to seek work. It was an epic journey, and it was marked by what became one of the epic American novels of the 20th century, The Grapes of Wrath. John Steinbeck's novel told a remarkable story about the intolerance that comes from economic hardship, and it held up a mirror to America's shameful abuse and neglect of its own people. When it came out at the end of the 30s, that book had a dramatic effect. It was revered, it was scorned. Steinbeck himself was accused of being a communist, a vicious red, something he could never throw off for the rest of his life. In some ways, the immense impact of The Grapes of Wrath distorted Steinbeck's reputation. His range was vast and his output prolific. In this film, I want to take a fresh look at the kind of writer he really was. I've admired John Steinbeck since I first read him in my teens. For me, he was one of the great writers of the American landscape. He created enduring myths around the lives of ordinary Americans who were figures in that landscape, buffeted by the forces of nature and politics. It was scenes like this which provoked Steinbeck to abandon his detachment and take an angry, partisan stance. And when he returned from this research trip, he found an alarming situation developing in his hometown. The Salinas letter strike started at the end of August 1936. Bully boys were marching around the town to defend it from the strikers. The local police were in alliance with the growers and gave charge of the situation to a retired army officer, Colonel Sanborn, who declared a form of martial law and deputized 2,000 vigilantes to patrol the streets. Salinas was producing half of all the letters consumed in the USA, so there were fortunes at stake for the growers facing a strike. The labourers in the fields had seen their earnings decline by 2/3, and their anger was kept under control at the end of the barrel of a gun. The Nation magazine described sinister developments. Just outside Salinas, something shockingly resembling a concentration camp has recently been constructed. A water tower rises in solitary grandeur in the midst of this camp. Surrounding the tower is a platform, splendidly adapted for observation, night illumination, and marksmanship. Tensions reached breaking point when non-union farm workers were brought in by the growers to bust the strike. Here in this charming town of Salinas on the 16th of September 1936, a pitched battle was fought in these streets. Pick handles, tear gas, shotguns. The Battle of Salinas had begun. By September the 17th, Steinbeck's hometown was a war zone. 250 American legionnaires, admirers of European fascism, joined the battle. Steinbeck describes the situation in California as a bomb ready to explode. There are riots in Salinas and killings in the streets of that dear little town where I was born.